Over to Gina.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here once again. This morning I'm going to be talking about lifts in health, and in particular the Health Technical Memorandum, which has got the date 08, which meant that it was produced in 2008. And I'm going to talk about the latest version that was published in June this year. Health is a very important thing for all of us, isn't it? Health is the most important thing for us all. And we're blessed in this country with a very good health system. Some people criticise it, but it is probably the best in the world. And the Department of Health has a responsibility for all of that in the UK. And it devolves those health down to 4 health services. There is the Scottish, Welsh and Irish and the English National Health Services. And overall they are employing 1.6 million people in the UK, and they're one of the largest employers in the world. The bit that is of concern to HTM 08 is that produced by the English National Health Service, which has 1.3 million people working for it. The other smaller health services have adopted the HTM 0802, despite the fact that it is produced in the English Health Service. There is in fact a Welsh translation of it for the Welsh. Now what I'm going to talk about is how the health service has set up this system of having health technical memorandum. And here we have the examples of the 2010 version. It came out in 2010, it was written in 2008, and it took a little while before it was published. It was published by the Central Office of Information, which the Cameron government got rid of in 2010, which was a shame. And so the revisions of this particular health technical memorandum took some time to go through, and it was during a period of considerable flux within the industry of standards and the like. And eventually this year there was a contract put out to update the 2008 version, published in 2010, to the 2016. So if you want to find this particular document, and it's free, you just download it, just put into your search engine HTM 0802 and up it will pop. Now the Department of Health has a duty of care on all its health care buildings, right the way through to concept to disposal. And it deals with that by having a number of HTMs. There are 8 core HTM subjects, which are shown around the outside of this diagram, going from decontamination, medical gases, right the way through to the 08 series, which are specialist services, of which HTM 02 is one. There's one overriding health technical memorandum on policies and principles. In the HTM series then, you can see a little bit more elaboration here of what they deal with. And sometimes the particular sections are divided further down, just as this represents here. In the HBM series, now the HTMs are supported by HBMs. Again, if you want to find them, just type HBM into your search engine and you'll find them. And there are 16 of those different HBMs, which deal with different aspects: care, generic activities, care groups and so forth, support system based, and so on. So there's a whole structure there which you may not be aware of, which the Department of Health has produced. As an example, you might be interested in looking at this particular one, 0004, which is circulation and communication spaces, and it talks about the size of hospital corridors, the way in which you can manipulate bed trolleys and all the sorts of things, quite bulky pieces of equipment around healthcare buildings. Now, the original document, HTM 0802, the contract was put out in September 2008, and a project draft in the October. It was sent to a panel of about 12 people who looked at it and did a referee peer review of the document, because I was quite new to this particular area of activity at the time, and this panel were able to give some very, very good editorial comments on how to structure it to meet the requirements of lift systems within hospital and healthcare facilities. We were able to produce that project, finish it in September 2009, took about a year then, and it took another 6 months before it finally emerged, fortunately before the Central Office of Information was disbanded in February 2010. So we're looking historically at a 2008 document. Things started to change, different standards started to emerge. The whole thing rapidly got out of currency. And so I was pressing the Department of Health to do some sort of revision, but they didn't have the money. Eventually they were able to find enough money to contract with a publishing company to revise about 3 of the HTMs, of which HTM 08 was one. And a contract was awarded to me to revise it. I decided in that revision to try and encourage some of my industry colleagues to comment on the draft. And they were very helpful in doing that, and we were able to go through the process of revising it and to publish it in June 2016. The problem of revising HTM 0802 in early 2016, as you probably know, is all these things were in a state of flux. The lift regulations hadn't been published to supersede those of 1997. The data withdrawal of 81.2 set for 31st of August next year. Data withdrawal of the supporting documents in 31st of August in 2018. Projects have to be finished by the end of August next year under the old BS 81.2. New projects have to meet 81-2050 and so on. And so we have a huge state of flux going on. And then Brexit came along, of course, and we didn't get the new edition. If I could, where am I? We didn't get the new lift regulations published on April the 20th this